Hi, I'm Alberto, and I'd like to tell you about the work I do to protect and restore my city's only river. I was born and raised in Honduras, where I earned a bachelor's degree in biology. In 2012, I was fortunate to receive a scholarship and eventually a job offer which allowed me to start a new chapter of my life in Seattle. I love Seattle. Seattle's a beautiful, safe, progressive city with an almost pristine environment. However, I soon found out that Seattle has a dirty little secret: the Duwamish River. I learned how environmental racism, environmental injustice, and health inequity were being perpetuated by the industries, businesses, and people responsible for polluting this river, and how it disproportionately affects specific vulnerable populations. I work for a small environmental nonprofit, the Duwamish River Cleanup Coalition, or DRCC. Our mission is to ensure a Duwamish River cleanup that is accepted by and benefits the community and is protective of fish, wildlife, and human health. The Duwamish River is a 5-mile superfund site, or one of the most toxic hazardous waste sites in the United States of America. It contains more than 40 chemicals above environmental and human health standards, many of which are highly carcinogenic. We're talking about things like PCBs, dioxins, PAHs, arsenic, and dozens more. It's so polluted, it is unsafe to eat even one single meal of resident seafood from the Duwamish River, although some people don't have a choice. I work with the people who are most affected by the pollution and have struggled to be heard for decades. Vulnerable groups such as low-income residents, people of color, recent refugee and immigrant families and individuals such as myself, and Native American tribes such as the Duwamish who have depended on the river for 10,000 years. Cleaning up the Duwamish River is a complicated process involving many stakeholders. Let's break it down a little. The Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, is the agency that enforces the cleanup of the river. After 12 years in the making, they finally released their proposed cleanup plan for public review. Unfortunately, it is not good enough, as 2 of the cleanup goals they identified will not be met. The health of the people who eat seafood from the Duwamish River or who come in contact with the toxic sediments will not be protected. Why? Because EPA is proposing to leave behind 80% of the toxic waste, which means only 20% will actually be removed. The DRCC is a technical advisory group to the affected communities. We not only provide technical assistance, but are also responsible for engaging them in the public process of the cleanup. Last year, I was put in charge of designing the community engagement plan for the public comment period. Traditionally, the EPA's process is not as far-reaching as it should be, leaving out the people that are the most affected. I didn't want the voices of my community to be, yet again, ignored. I was determined to make sure this process would be as comprehensive, inclusive, and effective as possible. So, we had 105 days to mobilize as many people as possible in an area where more than 20 different languages are spoken. We worked around the clock and organized more than 50 culturally inclusive events that catered to the needs of the affected communities. For example, we made history by having EPA host the first ever formal public hearing in a language other than English. Our public meetings were much more participatory than the usual one-way panel. We provided much more than just technical advice. We hosted multilingual workshops where community members presented to their neighbors and peers in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Somali. We had floating classrooms, panels, and with the help of the community, assembled a 50-foot 3D model of the river and its cleanup options. We collected more than 2,300 comments in 10 different languages, which were submitted through a variety of methods, including postcards, emails, social media, digital stories, and verbal testimony at public hearings. And yes, the people spoke. 15 out of every 16 individuals submitting comments support more cleanup over less. This has had unprecedented implications. For starters, Seattle personalities such as internationally renowned hip-hop artist Macklemore stood next to community leaders and members demanding a more comprehensive, health-protective cleanup of the Duwamish River. Also, one of the biggest environmental groups in the U.S., Sierra Club, worked with us to start a petition that was signed by more than 43,000 people from all 50 states in the nation. This has put a lot of pressure on responsible parties and elected officials, to the point that both the city and county council will submit resolutions supporting more cleanup in the next few weeks. This is a story of hope. Even though the affected communities have been ignored for decades, they've raised their collective voice and finally have a chance to win this battle and achieve their goal of making the Duwamish a river for all. A river for fish and wildlife, a river for resident, fishing families, tribes, and recreational users, and also a river where workers, businesses, and industries can thrive.